Hi there, Shalini here from Tech Gatha, and this video covers switch case. Before we write a program using switch case, let us understand when and where will you use switch case. For example, you want to write a program for rolling a dice. Now we all know a dice can have minimum 1 and maximum 6 as a value. Again, another example, toss a coin. Now, when we toss a coin, we get only two values, that is heads or tails. Suppose we want to ask the user to select a particular city where he or she resides. Again, I know that I have a fixed range or values of cities. So cities just do not grow or shrink dynamically. We have fixed values of cities, right? Whenever you have these kind of examples, you use switch case. Now the advantage and how do you use that? I've created a small example where I take the input from the user, the dice value. Now because the dice can be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Of course we'll compare. If it is 1, we have to go ahead one step. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and if in case I sometimes when we roll a dice it also falls on the border. If something that happens or user puts in a wrong value, we have to display a proper message saying invalid input. Now we all know what is if else and how to use nested if else. In case you are coming here directly to this video and not watched my previous video on nested if else, please go ahead and watch the video on nested if else. The link for the same I will provide in the description. Let's change this if else using switch case. The only advantage using switch case will be the code will be more concise. Now how do you do it is, we know that there is a variable where the fixed values will be coming. It can be either 1, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and it can be only one value at a given point of time. So we say switch. You want to switch between values of variable, that is dice. Then open and closed curly brace. Now we know that in a dice there can be only 6 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Now how do we write this syntax is, I want to switch between the values in the dice for a particular case. So if it is case 1, do something. If it is case 2, do something. If it is case 2, do something. Case 3, case 4, mind it, this is a colon and not a semicolon, right? Same way here, and case 6. Now we have 6 cases, again the same, that's it. So we'll just pick up and we can put. So go ahead 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step and 5 steps and 6 steps. So we can just change this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we also need to handle the invalid input. How do we do that in switch case is, we have a default keyword and then we just write over here saying invalid input. So remember, switch is in small, case is in small, round bracket the variable where the value is coming in, case and the value. So dice variable is of type int. Here we are switching between the int values. So case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, case 5 and case 6. Let's just comment out this if else block. Right? Now the simple example, let's go ahead and execute. So when I go and execute, I enter a dice value, suppose say 2. You will notice it prints 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and invalid input as well. Reason, what it does, dice, the value entered was 2. Case 1, the value is not 1. 2, the value is 2. It prints, but then it still goes ahead and prints all the respective cases. How do you resolve this is by putting a break. When the break wasn't there, it was called as fall through in switch case, and we put a semicolon as well. After default, if you want to put, you can, or it's optional. Now when I compile and when I execute this program again, then you will see if I enter a value, say 2. Now it just prints go ahead 2 steps and it exits the application. When you put a break, it goes in a particular case, executes that case, and then breaks the switch block and comes out of the switch block. So if suppose I had a system.out.println over here and I say thanks, in that case I compile, and if I execute it again over here now, and if I suppose put a value as 4, go ahead 4 steps, it breaks, comes out of this switch block and just print thanks. So this is how you use switch case. The advantage only over here is it is more concise and clean when you use switch case as opposed to if else. Remember, now there are few points that is of notice to remember. That is, switch works only on the values of byte, short, int and char. So it just works on these four types of values, and also it works on strings. So definitely I can have a variable of type string and I can work. Second point to remember is if you have a variable of type char, and suppose I just store a value as a. If you are switching between the values in a variable of type character, then in the case you have to put quotes, because case takes only constant values and the values for characters are enclosed in single quotes. Same way, if this was string, strings are enclosed in double quotes, then you would be writing over here switch ch and you will say case red in double quotes. So remember, depending on the type of variable, your switch is going to switch between the values. Your case works on those type of values only. Last point, you cannot have variables as the last point, you cannot have variables in case. So for example, I cannot say something like this and put here then the variable x. This is not allowed. You cannot have variables. It has to be only constant expression. So it works only on the constant values. So this is all about switch case, how do you write and the advantages of the same. And whenever you have these kind of scenarios where you know the fixed values and always the comparison is only equal to, instead of going with if else, we can go with switch case. One more difference in if else and switch case is if else can work on expressions like I can have less than, greater than, logical and relational operators, whereas switch case works only on constant values. There is also an assignment on the switch case. The link for the same is provided in the description. Do not forget to complete the assignments and test yourself. For any questions, please feel free to ping in the comment section below, or you can contact me from my website techgatha.com contact page. So happy learning, take care and bye bye.